You're good to go.
All right, guys, how you doing? We are live, baby, live, and coming to you from the Big Vito Emporium here at the Big Vito brand. And you know what? It's going to be another action-packed day, another action-packed Getting Color with my co-host with the most, David Virtue Southworth. I don't know where that came from, but we just picked it up on news media. It's live, baby, live. David, how are you doing today?
What's up? Hey, I kind of like Stallworth, but it's all right, man. Whatever you want to call me. It's going good, Vito. We got the NBA Finals going on right now.
Right.
We're on the day after NXT TakeOver. I mean, Brock Lesnar dancing like a fool. A lot of stuff to talk about, man.
Now I want to get to cut to the chase here. I got to talk. We're going to talk sports.
Yep.
And the biggest shock was the Joshua Ruiz heavyweight title fight. Did you happen to see it?
I saw that. I didn't watch the fight, but I saw the fallout and all the clips online. And I guess he really screwed Vegas by winning, didn't he? That's what I mean. He doesn't really look in shape. Doesn't mean he can't box, but look at the other guy.
Do you
Vegas
know
just lost some money, man.
You know what it reminded me of?
Buster Douglas.
Dave Bautista MMA fight. Dave came in, sculpted the other guy, and when the other guy rocked him, he knew he was in for a fight. And this Mexican kid, what people are now looking at, he's a fill-in, but he was still 32 or 33-1.
That's a pretty good record, but what was that against, though? Was it against a lot of mediocre opponents? Like,
I don't care who it's against. He still came in with an impressive record, and obviously he's no slouch. He beat the heavyweight champ of the world.
Yeah, and normally in boxing, you don't hear about the heavyweight title like you used to back in the 80s and 90s. It's all about the lighter weight titles in boxing these days. Isn't that crazy? Isn't that crazy what boxing used to be?
No, I hear you. I hear you. I got to tell you something. Between Joshua, Wilde, and Fury, they were proclaiming that Joshua and Wilder were going to be the heavyweight fight that you had to see. Even though Fury, I think, beat Wilder in the last fight they had after being out for 3 years, coming back and going the distance, and I think he outboxed him. So I think the heavyweight division is wide open. Now this kid comes from nowhere. The 1,000,000-to-1 shot. He's the new Buster Douglas, the new Rockman. He's the new I don't know. They have the other guy. Who was the other shot? He's the new Leon Spinks against Muhammad Ali.
Oh yeah.
Everybody forgot about that one, but this just blows. This kid is the new Bill Buckner of boxing. Okay.
So you think this is sustainable, or is it very flukish? And will he lose the title next fight?
I think that this kid, because it's Mexico's first title, and these Englishmen will say, well, we're going to go back to England, we'll fight. I wouldn't go back to England. Why would I go back to your country and fight so I can get a home crowd decision when I can go fight in Mexico and I'm holding all the cards? We do have a rematch clause, but there's no saying I have to give you a rematch right now. I can go fight somebody else.
Well, that's true. And like Vito, like I said earlier, what happened? What do you think happened with heavyweight boxing? Was it just because of Mayweather's dominance and and some of the lighter weight type guys' dominance that really overshadowed the heavyweights the last 15 years? Like, what do you think happened with that? Because I remember Tyson, Holyfield, you name it, Lennox Lewis. Like, what happened?
I think that the Kleskos held a monopoly on the heavyweight division. You had to fight them over there. There wasn't anybody their size, and they held on to the titles for years. But, now with the new crop of guys coming out and a better variety of, okay, maybe this guy didn't have the shape or he didn't have the body, but evidently he packed a punch. Or
yeah, he won the title.
This Joshua kid really couldn't take a punch.
I mean, that's true. It was crazy because when I saw it, I was, I don't pay attention to boxing like I used to. And then I was reading all articles about it, and I was like, wow, like Vegas got screwed, man. He was that big of an underdog, but you pointed out he had a 33-1 record.
Now, here's another thing. He was plus 1,100. So if you bet 100, you won 1,100. Imagine dropping $1,000 on this fool. Just to say, I got $1,000. Let me bet the underdog. You would have walked out of there with a payday.
And there are gamblers out there that do stuff like that. That's why it's gambling, because it's a risk-reward thing. So I read that Vegas lost on this fight. Like, I don't know if every bookie did, but it seems like the consensus of Vegas, they lost their tail a little bit on this.
No, I hear you. He definitely did. All right, guys, we're going to turn to our baseball, and Virtue really hasn't kept up on the baseball. I'm going to sum it up in one spicy, juicy thing. All right? Yankees have been winning. The Mets have been losing. Callaway's definitely on the hot seat. The Phillies just got ex-Met Jay Bruce, and the Phillies always.
I did see that. The
Phillies always going to get ex-Mets to help them win titles, but I think that the biggest thing of the day was Tom Brady wanted to call himself Tom Terrific after the franchise Tom Seaver. I thought that was the most disrespectful thing you could ever do to somebody who was like probably one of the greatest pitchers of our pastime, and you want to call yourself Tom Terrific?
Well, not in a baseball sense, but in a football sense, can't you say that's true? Or should he have used another word and been?
He should have used it. Why go on somebody else's legacy? Anybody who is anybody who is a baseball, sports, anybody who knows anything about the 70s, 80s, the 60s, the 90s, when you hear the word Tom Terrific, who do you think of? Tom Seaver, the New York Mets.
Yep. Well, Brady's got an ego, I'm sure. I mean, that's why he said it, you know.
And I think the biggest shock coming in the basketball world was the Raptors taking Game 1.
And as we speak, they're up 10 at almost halftime, Game 2.
Wow.
How about that?
Can it be that these guys really do have the Warriors number?
Unless the Warriors are just mailing these two, and you know what? You don't want to think that. Mailing these two games in, don't care if they go down 0-2, because I think the next three, do they still do the 2-3-2, or is it now?
I think it's 2-2.
1-1. Okay. Yeah. So I don't know. I'm sure we'll see if Durant comes back, you know, because maybe now he's all of a sudden going to get healthy if they can't win without him, which according to everybody, they could win without him. But Kawhi Leonard's the real deal, Vito. I mean, he was a finals MVP. Yes, it was a very great veteran Spurs team. But he was a finals MVP as a young player. This guy's a baller.
100% right. 100% right. Yep. And, you know, if anybody here watches Stephen A. Smith, you know, on First Take, when he's with Max Kellerman, and Max Kellerman has been singing his praises, saying Kawhi Leonard is the best basketball player on the planet today.
I have said the best two-way player before because he's so good defensively, but yeah, can still be the guy that scores you 30 and makes clutch shots. Dude, I'm not saying he's Jordan, but he's closer to a Jordan-type player than LeBron James, in my opinion, because he can do it on both ends of the court.
That's what Max Kellerman said, and that's what they've been saying. Yeah. I watch The Jump, and I watch First Take religiously. Yeah. And I like to listen to them guys' analytic views, and I like to listen to them go back and forth. And pretty much I'm on point with those guys on a lot of things. And you know, it's Kawhi Leonard's time. You know, there's something to be said for him sitting out that year when he was injured and everybody was busting his balls.
Remember, Vito, injured, and I put quotes up with my hands. You know what I mean? Like, was he really injured?
Well, I mean, why? I mean, you don't ever want to see a ball player sit out because being stubborn or he's having a coach's problem, or you just look at Le'Veon Bell with the Jets, and the kid sat out a year just to prove his point. Now he's signed a contract. He still didn't get the contract he wanted, and maybe he wasted a year, but he got his freedom. Kawhi Leonard sat out a year, got out of San Antonio, and look at him right now. with a pick of the litter on his free agent walk year. He's definitely going to get a max contract, but where is he going to sign and who is he going to play with?
Well, dude, wasn't that a blessing in disguise for him, though? Goes to Toronto, and then LeBron leaves, so the East is wide open. You know what I mean? Like that was a good situation for him with really no pressure. There was no pressure for Toronto this year. No LeBron. Yeah, sure, people said Philly was good and Milwaukee was good and maybe Boston for a second. Look who's in the finals, maybe up 2-0 after tonight. Crazy.
I just think that
I don't know where he's going, Vito.
I think everybody has their time in basketball, and everybody has their moments. I mean, for me, being a Knicks fan, and I'm sure you being a Knicks fan, when we talk about John Starks, I mean, when he had his moments, and the best play that is still my favorite of him dunking over Jordan and Pippen and throwing it down on their necks.
Horace Grant and Jordan. I remember that.
Yeah. Okay, so
left-handed,
and you talk about somebody elevating his game because he's got that much oomph, and the place went crazy. And if you listen to the crowd and you listen to everything, you're like, wow.
Undrafted, a grocery bagger, I think, in Tulsa, Oklahoma, ended up having a pretty good, solid little career with the Knicks in the 90s. I mean, he made an all-star team. He was a sixth man of the year. Went to a finals, had that feud with Reggie Miller.
Had a great career. And it's a shame that the Knicks didn't bring back that core of guys. Like, I know him and Oakley and Dolan don't like each other, but keeping Patrick Ewing out of the realm for so long, Oakley out, Starks out, Harper out, and the only reason James Dolan brought Latrell Sprewell back was so he could offset the Oakley racism thing. So, yeah, man, I love Latrell. Latrell. Bro, you haven't called me or said Merry Christmas in 9 years since my famous contract thing. You want to pay me $7 million a year? How am I supposed to eat? How am I going to feed my family?
And every big signing since then has been a flop for them. I almost wonder if he's cursed. They went to the finals in 99-2000 with the 8th seed. Remember with that Larry Johnson and Sprewell?
Magic Johnson and Houston, and that was the best team. That was their greatest competitive team.
But look, since all these big signings, Stoudemire, Marbury, Penny Hardaway, Carmelo, and none of them have panned out. The biggest thing they've had in the last decade for about 2 weeks was Linsanity.
No,
you know how
I got to tell you, you're wrong. When the Knicks had Stoudemire and Stoudemire was solo, those boys were on track. As soon as they traded for Carmelo, that's when it went south. Nobody could tell me any different. They traded half their team, all those young guys who meshed with Stoudemire, to bring in Carmelo for star power, and it did not work.
Well, didn't Stoudemire kind of suffer from unfortunate injuries too by that time? He started to. That's really what pulled him down, I think.
Yeah, but the guy was on a high. He was averaging 25 a game. He was a big signing. The Knicks were winning. Why? And James Dolan went and made that trade, and he jinxed the Knicks.
I think so, and it needs a change. Can he sell the team to somebody else?
He can, but he won't.
That worked pretty good for the Clippers. That one guy had to sell because of his racist comments.
Yes,
the Clippers are rebuilding. Kawhi might go to the Clippers.
I don't know after the Doc Rivers incident where he got fined $50,000 for tampering. I don't know.
Well, never say never in the NBA. We'll see, and it all is contingent on what happens with the Raptors. If they win it all, I think Kawhi's got to sign at least a 1-year deal to stay there.
I think he's got to sign a 1-year deal just to save face to see if he could repeat.
Yep.
I think he'll sign like a $30 million deal, 1 year only. And you brought up Linsanity, and that kid, if he never would have left New York, he would have been great. When he took that pill contract with the Houston Rockets, and they outbid the Knicks, and he screwed over the Knicks, his career went down the shitter instead of riding the wave of the New York Knicks.
I know, dude. That 2 to 3 week period he had was insane. And the way I saw like how energized it made Madison Square Garden and Spike Lee, that took me back to those John Starks days. And then it was gone. They got, he was gone and out of there. And he's really not been the same. He's gotten banged up, injured. He's like a bench guy now.
Now, here's another thing, though, we got to look at, right? You have the NBA draft coming up. And, they're talking about, getting that kid Barrett. And they talk about Zion Williamson. But that guy, Jay Morant, the guard, has got knee surgery. All of a sudden, they're speculating he might not go number 2 to the Memphis Grizzlies.
That's the gambles you got to take when certain players slip from other teams for whatever reason. You never know when you're going to get a gold mine, And that what do the Knicks have? The third or the fourth? The third.
The third.
Yeah, so now, there you go. There you go.
But here's the thing: there's other rumors out there that the Knicks, because it's only a 3-player draft, really there's only 3 to 5 players that they're worth anything. The Knicks were talking about trading down.
Who do you think they can get, and what would they want if they did that?
They would have to get something significant for their number 3 pick.
Yeah.
They'd have to.
And they're going to have some money. I just hope some players want to go there because I don't know, with the owner, with Dolan, if that turns a lot of these superstars off. But I was kind of hoping they could grow organically through the draft and just maybe like role player trades, Vito, kind of like Golden State did before they got really good. They built that.
We have a question in the chat.
Fan OB Server 1 asks, what are the chances of my Dodgers finally winning a World Series this year?
The who?
The Dodgers.
Good luck.
Yeah.
That's all I'm going to say.
They got a good team. And when they got rid of Puig and Matt Kemp and the other kid there, their outfielder, I thought they lost a lot of power, but these guys are plugging along and they're still going. So they're always in it year after year, and you never know. When it's then time to conquer, they will. Now, if we could only say that about the Mets, then I don't know. But since we got that Cleveland coach, we've been in the shitter.
Yeah, and the Indians they're a 500 team, Vito. That's what they are. Twins are on fire, one of the best records. I think they might have had the best record or still in all of Major League Baseball right now, the Minnesota Twins.
Yep, and those guys were picked up. And come Monday, okay, Craig Kimbrell and Dallas Keuchel.
Yeah, still not signed.
No more draft pick. They will be free to sign with whomever they want.
And they're going to be relatively fresh. I'm sure they did, they've done training and keep their arms going, but those are going to be some good lands for whoever gets them. You think Boston gets Kimbrel back, or are they content? They've been struggling this year.
Want to know what I think? I think that either the Mets or the Yankees are going to sign both of them.
I was going to say I could see the Yankees snatching both of them. Keuchel's really good because he's an off speeder, and gosh, that's just so valuable. He eats up innings too.
The Yankees have a hole in their bullpen. I mean, in their starting rotation, they need help. Signing that guy who's a proven winner makes sense. Adding to the Yankee
Cy Young winner too.
Yeah, adding to the Yankee bullpen, adding Craig Kimbrell. With Britton and Dellin, the kid Dellin coming back, and
Betances and Chapman.
And Chapman as the closer.
Yep.
Oh my God! If you brought Kimbrell in as the 6th inning reliever, say, "Hey, listen, just fill in first this year," you shitting me.
The power of New York. I just wish the Knicks could follow.
But if both of them guys went to the Mets, Dallas would go right into the starting rotation, and Kimbrel could be the closer with the Mets. The way the Mets, the Diaz kid has been, getting tired. maybe putting him back in his setup role. Jerry Familia in 6. Robert Gilman is in this 6th and Lugo in the 7th. All of a sudden, you definitely got a definitely great bullpen there for the Mets.
Dude, does Keuchel and Kimbrel have the same agent?
Yes, they're all.
There you go, Vito. They could very well go to the same team.
I would hope the Yankees pull a coup, and the Yankees are facing a big roster purge because they got Didi Gregorius coming back on Friday. Okay,
yep.
Where do you put these guys who have been playing great ball?
You always have fresh guys off the bench, and you have a rotation then. That's the thing. I don't know. They're going to probably play. Dude, Vito, everybody in baseball does the milk crates of binders from the sabermetrics guys, right, that they hire in from Harvard and Yale. They all play the percentages and the odds. Some old school managers still do the gut feelings, but it's different. I mean, you ever watch a game and you see all those milk crates by the coaches? That's all their probabilities for that game. It's
I got to tell you something. If I had to pick somebody to be the next manager of the Mets, I would definitely want a Buck Showalter or a Dusty Baker.
See, Dusty to me is one of the best regular season managers in the last 20 years, but he sucks in the playoffs. That's just my opinion. But
That's true. You're right.
Maybe he doesn't suck in the playoffs because he did go to a World Series. But he loses that dusty edge in the playoffs, especially with pitching. I don't know. Maybe that's just me.
I think that Buck Showalter is probably the best manager sitting home right now, and I think he would be a great fit for the Mets. He's got
Did he coach them before? Manage them?
No, he was a manager of the Yankees. He's the manager of Baltimore Orioles.
Okay,
He's got
Baltimore.
A winning pedigree.
Oh, wait. Was it Arizona? Did he ever manage in Arizona?
Yeah, Arizona.
Okay.
I think he's got a win, and he won in Arizona, and I think he's got a winning pedigree.
Yep.
So now, how we doing in bits for tits? We got anything going on? Any peeps?
Oh, peeps are watching you, but we don't have any questions.
They're waiting for wrestling, Vito. I mean, we love our sports.
All right, here we go, guys. We are going to start the sport. We are going to do it right now, and we are going to start with my number one pet peeve of today. Something that bothered me, something real fierce. Everybody start tweeting, okay? The character of Brock Lesnar was violated this past week.
Violated.
Now, Vito, explain yourself. I want to know why and how you think this. And because I do have my theory on this. Go ahead.
Brock Lesnar, when he came in, he was no nonsense. He went to UFC. He was all business. He has an advocate to represent him. He's the biggest, most shiningest superstar that the WWE has today. He is a must-see. I'm going to pay to see Brock Lesnar come to the arena. He is legit. He is no bullshit. He is a badass. He is one of a kind. He is a five-tool athlete. He's got everything going on for him. When it comes to persona and what you got bringing to the ring, nobody can bring it like Brock Lesnar. When you come and win the Money in the Bank and you don't need it, and everybody forgets every time Brock loses his title, he never reinvokes his rematch clause, if anybody noticed.
Vito, they kind of said they got rid of that like about 6 months or a year ago. They said no rematches and you have to earn it again. That's just a stupid storyline. That's probably
but I think it's still there when they want to bring it up. But watching Brock Lesnar dancing in the ring like a fucking idiot, like a fucking tool. And
I'm going to give you my theory, but keep going.
I hope Paul Heyman is listening to this. Paul, what happened to the days of ECW when we were the brand, when we were, what's the word I'm looking for? I can't think of it,
the underground, the cult following,
No. We were a certain type of wrestling. We were a culture. We were, you know,
A cult.
we were extreme. That's the word I'm looking for. We were extreme. That was what we screamed. That is what we preached. That is what we did. There was no shucking, no jiving, no bullshit, no nothing. Everybody had a persona. You were serious. You came to the ring. You are an advocate for Brock Lesnar. You've been doing it for years. Why is it that you had your client dancing like a fucking tool in the middle of the ring and acting the fucking fool? You
Aaron was dancing too.
Yeah, he danced.
Or air guitar, sorry.
But for me, Vito LaGrasso, the one guy I turn to watch every week because, yes, I am a fan of his. I admire his work. I believe that he is the last living, breathing soul that brings relevance to the heavyweight title. But when I see this, you crush your invincibility. Everybody loses a match. That's no problem. You get up, you come back. We already know you're going to kick the shit out of the guy. But if you continue on this path, you are going to be the next Braun Strowman, which is going to be a joke and erase your legacy. I hope it was a one-time thing and you tell your boss to fuck off and say, hey, listen, I'm not a fucking J-Bo. I'm going to go in. I'm going to be this badass son of a bitch because I'm one of a kind. I'm Brock Lesnar. I'm here. I'm the fucking man, and ain't nobody going to make a fool of me, and this is my title, and this is the way it's going to be. Virtue, go ahead.
Now, I don't think that they're producing Brock that way because I think he's the last guy that if they told him to go do something like that, he'd say F you. I think with the heat that he's got with Chris Jericho, now the stuff that's happened with Moxley on Jericho's podcast, Brock Lesnar's names got thrown under the bus like you're the guy that Vince McMahon pays all this money to do limited dates, and you're always in the title picture and this and that. And Ambrose was pissed at him because he didn't, you know, wasn't creative with him backstage before their match at WrestleMania a few years ago. I think Brock's going out there ribbing all the people that hate him. I really do. And maybe even WWE, like, I'm getting the most money at this place. I'm coming out here. This is a boombox. I'm not taking this seriously. I'm not taking you wrestlers seriously that say this is a bad working place because I'm getting all the money that you guys wish you had. I think Brock's ribbing people. I can't tell you if he's ribbing Vince or the WWE or if he's ribbing like Jericho, Moxley. I think he's just out there. I'm collecting a check. F you. I'm going to look like a fool. I don't care because I'm getting money anyway. I really think he's ribbing people, Vito.
Well, I think after the Daniel Cormier comments of why Brock retired, and he said Brock Lesnar does not want to work hard. He wants the guaranteed money. He doesn't want to come and fight me. And I mean, any fan who is a fan of UFC wants to see Brock Lesnar. I don't care if he's 50 years old. You're still going to pay the $79.95 to go watch him fight. It's just like with Randy Couture. It's the same thing like, Chuck Liddell. I'm pulling some great names out of the hat there. But when you talk about guys who are must-see fighters, Brock Lesnar, I mean, they were talking about John Jones and Brock Lesnar for the heavyweight title because Cormier lost to John Jones twice. Nobody wanted to see Jones and Cormier. They wanted to see Brock Lesnar and John Jones.
Didn't Brock kind of like get pissed at the pay structure from UFC? Like, why did he retire? You know what I mean? Like, that just kind of just happened all of a sudden. Like, or was he concerned about being drug tested, which supposedly WWE does, but
when he got the drug testing, he retired just to stay out of the mix. This way it discontinues your time. When he unretired, gave him a clean slate for him to clean his system, come back in the game, do drug testing for 6 months, get a clean bill of health. Okay, I'm ready to return to the game because you're already suspended for the year. So it didn't matter.
We got to see, like, somebody must have smartened Brock up to the animated GIF meme game on the social media because the last 2 weeks, he's actually went viral with these, like you call them silly, dancing gyrations and holding the Money in the Bank briefcase up like a boombox. And just this past Monday, he had the Brock Party shirt. I want to see how that shirt starts selling. If it moves up to #1 on the WWE shop, then that's actually as bad as you say it is from at least a T-shirt selling standpoint. Free advertising on social media.
So
I don't
are we
know,
going
man.
to have the Brock party? Okay. Does that mean we're going to have the Rosebuds and the what's the other Mexican guy coming?
No way, Jose.
The
Well, I would
guy.
no way, Jose. That would actually be a good. I know you don't like Brock dancing, but say he did that, and then No Way Jose came out, and then Brock just killed him and all the indie workers. Dude, I would love that. And then got serious again. Like, oh, wait, nope, this isn't a box. I worked you all. You know what I mean? That would be good, but probably won't happen.
Guys, when you got a fucking prize fighter there, there's no, remember, okay, I'm going to give everybody something here, okay? Now I'm going to go back to the Attitude Era, and I'm going to bring up something that was probably the most legit guy at the time was Kurt Angle. Olympic gold medalist, comes in, great wrestler. Remember when they made him comedic and then they made him wear the cowboy hat and they tried to make him funny?
Yep.
Right? And you said, okay, this I could live it because there was other characters for him to mesh with.
And he wasn't like the world champ yet, or maybe I know he got there and kind of jumped in front of the line on guys like Jericho and Eddie and Benoit, but I don't know exactly when he won the world title. I don't know if that comedic stuff was maybe just before that. But like you said, Brock's been a credible champion, and then now he's doing this.
But when he did it with Stone Cold. And
That's
Stone
true.
Cold, when Stone Cold was straight, didn't change character, didn't fucking didn't nothing. So you're talking a legit badass who always kept his persona. And then you talk about Kurt Angle, supposed to be legitimately the greatest wrestler of our time, of our generation. And you have him walking around with this stupid hat and being an idiot.
And he did that rap battle a few years later with John Cena. Remember that?
Yeah.
But it was that was a rising John Cena at the time.
But you talk about like things like that, you got to have somebody to play off. And then when you have Paul Heyman getting smacked around like a douche.
Dude, was that like a play to Vince McMahon writing scripts from his writers and then slapping them back, throwing it back at him like this is garbage? Like, to me, that was like it seems like Brock and Heyman are ribbing somebody. That's what I feel.
I don't know, guys. If I was in the business and I was that guy, I'll give you something here. Somebody brought up matches. Somebody took the time to watch some of my old matches. And there was a match on the WWE Network, Vito versus The Wall.
That's right, WCW.
And if you remember that match, here was a guy who didn't have the best body, but was one tough motherfucker. And you just saw it. He brought it. No nonsense. You knew he was coming. He was just here to fight. He wanted to fight, and he wanted to kick somebody's ass. Didn't matter if you were 5'2". Didn't matter if you were friggin' 7'2". I was going to whoop your ass. Didn't matter. And if anybody out there goes and has the network, go look at that match. And you talk
that was the Hardcore Championship, correct?
Right, through Jerry Wall. And you talk about a good back and forth match. But at the end, you saw toughness and you saw the real. What would a Vito LaGrasso, a Vito the Skull LaGrasso, a Big Vito of 2000 do in today's market? He would be the next Stone Cold Steve Austin. He would be that bad of an ass. He would be just that no-nonsense taking son of a bitch. But because of the way they write the scripts and everything, they would look to tear down that persona to make it something that it wasn't. And that's the problem with WWE today. They tear down your persona because they don't want you to be bigger than the company itself.
Now, explain this. NXT, speaking of cult followings like ECW had, NXT has one. And I mean, they do the takeover events, Vito, go do arenas between 10 and 15,000. And they've been doing this for 5 years now. Right? But yet, that system works, right? And the indie fans love it, but yet when those talents get elevated to the main roster, it's not meshing eye to eye with Vince. Why? Like, why do you think? Now, in some cases they have. Charlotte was in NXT. Seth Rollins is currently the champ. Becky Lynch finally got her push. So there are people that went through NXT that are getting pushed. But do you just think it's just too much of a factory of wrestlers, and it just nothing feels special anymore? Like back in the day, they would get wrestlers from other territories, but they would give them these big, larger-than-life personas. Like Kurt Hennig became Mr. Perfect. Scott Hall became Razor Ramon. We can go on and on and on, but today it's Adam Cole or it's Bobby Roode. Either they were formerly in Impact or they were an indie worker and they're coming through as their indie wrestler name. Why do you think it's bombing for these guys?
I gotta enlighten you guys on something. If Vince McMahon is going to continue to be the head writer and direct his show, and he's got to produce 2 shows, be on the road, do you really expect him to go on the road and watch and be a talent scout for NXT? I'm talking, he's got 2 shows, 2 rosters, 2 and guys, I know everybody says, we're talking here, and this is my take on it. Okay? And I'm giving an honest view. This is not brown, no, this is what my 27 years in the business is. How much responsibility can one man who won't relinquish responsibility possibly cover in a company? If it was me, I've said this before, NXT would be its own entity and would be its own company and break away from the WWE. This way you have WWE, you have SmackDown, you have Raw. You circulate and rotate the talent like a territory. You go from Raw to SmackDown, back to NXT to repackage, work your way up, make your way back to Raw. Now you have your own territory within your own company. Is it the same as going to the big houses as when you go down back to NXT? Absolutely not. But you got to go back somewhere, and right now we're limited on where we can go.
Now, Vito, Prince Pretty, what's his name? Tyler Breeze. They recently sent him back down to NXT. Now, I don't know if because they had a couple injuries, but he got to work a match last night with Velveteen Dream, Patrick Clark.
Right.
And he picked up right where he left off his gimmick worked in that indie environment with NXT, but it floundered with Vince McMahon on the main roster. So I think that should be a trend. If there are people lost on the main roster that, instead of that 24/7 title gimmick, which the most recent thing that happened with that is on a golf course, I was almost waiting to see you pop in there and get a shot at it.
Let me tell you something. I would have attacked both those motherfuckers, and I would have freaking jumped in my Hummer, and I would have been off with the title.
Yeah, Jinder came to a golf course in gear and won it for like 30 seconds, and then R-Truth beat him back. The only thing that segment online was missing was you.
Well, you did hit that guy with a golf ball today.
Yeah, there was an accident golfing, guys. It was an accident. And during my expertise golfing, Big Vito style, my big jam with my brand new set of golf clubs that I was somebody donated to me from the golf course. And they're pretty damn good too. I can't complain. Callaway bag. And my thing is I want to live this golf course life. So I said, okay, I'm going to enjoy my best life. So I said, I'm going to go hit balls today. I need a bucket of balls. How much are they? $5. Give me 2 buckets. So I go out there and get 2 buckets of balls. All right. So I'm out there.
Is this a driving range, Vito?
Yeah, it's one of the driving ranges. But the cool thing is it's over a lake. So you actually hit the balls in the lake with the flags. So the first one I hit, I fucking tattooed this ball, and it had to go about 300 yards. That was the last good ball I hit for the fucking day. So after that, balls to the left of me, balls to the right of me. There's a guy on the left of me, and I take this giant swing. Well, I nailed this guy in the leg. I don't know how I did it. I don't know how.
It's on Twitch, though.
It's on
Twitch. We twitched it live. Vito hit this guy with the ball.
I went over. I said, man, I apologize. he actually was pretty cool about it. He says, I know you're new. He says, no big deal. Everything is good. So,
Exactly.
I introduced myself. I said, thank you for not being mad. I'm just trying to have some fun out here. He says, I see you, man. Just keep on swinging and just, keep on your form. And then there was another guy in front of me who was giving me some golfing tips. And, practice makes perfect. Guys, I'm not going to be a golfer. I just like to go to the driving range. I like to see how far I can hit the ball.
You're being incredibly humble, but this is not what you said when you hit the guy and he stormed off after you hit him. He looked like a garden gnome, number one, which was really funny. And then number two, you were like, well, he deserved it. But now here you're being all humble. Like,
these are great stories, though. And the people that the bulk of our listeners for Getting Color are always during the commute for Mondays, at least the ones from like the No DQ side over here. And Vito, speaking of golfing, there was one time I was in Virginia Beach golfing, and we had a big group, right? So some would golf a little bit ahead, but we'd always stay close. I literally 3 or 4 times in the one round hit a line drive towards the same guy. One hit him in the back. Finally, on the 4th one, he stuck his hand out. My ball would have went farther, caught the damn thing, and dropped it right there. So, Vito, you and I, we might be very similar when it comes to that on the golf course.
Yeah, but I mean, yours was about like, what, a couple 100 feet away. Mine was 10 feet away.
Oh, well, yeah.
Okay. Yeah, well, I mean, I'm just starting out. I'll catch up.
Keep your eye on the ball. Don't lift your head up, Vito.
So
that's your biggest problem is you lift your head up.
I lift my head up. I don't follow through, and it was head down. But when I follow through, let me tell you something. That fucking ball took off like a son of a bitch.
Happy Gilmore. I bet Happy Vito more.
I've been calling him Shooter
McGavin
or Shooter McGrasso.
Oh, that's even better. Vito, I bet you portray yourself like that on the golf course. You got to wear the same outfit as Shooter McGavin from Happy Gilmore. I envision that now. That's your golf etiquette.
Well,
like him.
I wore a white kangaroo hat, sunglasses. I wore a Big Vito's a Big Vito shirt that one of the brand members had given me. It's black. It's a golf shirt with what does it say on the back?
It says Vito's Loan Sharks.
Vito's Loan Sharking Company on the back of it. I had black shorts, white shoes. So I think people took me serious. They took a step back. And I said, oh, man, he's got Callaway clubs. This guy's all right. Hummer's out there. He's probably got a body bag in a trunk ready to be filled. I like him.
The best was when you went to get the balls and the guy that gives you the tips and the guy, the thing, and you're like, how do you like my golf outfit?
Were you twitching live?
Yeah,
Were you twitching that live earlier? Were there people on?
Yeah.
You burned them out, Vito. That's why our Twitch is quiet tonight. You burned them out with your golfing entertainment.
Popping in, going, did he really hit someone? Did he really? So it must have got out there. And everybody was popping on.
So, I was talking to the guys in there, and they happened to be wrestling fans. I said, hey, man, Vito, what are you doing? I said, yeah, I moved here. It's good. So this is how I got my golf clubs donated to me. I said, yeah, I'm looking for – Mike's told me to come in. I said, you mind? He said, yeah, we got a set right here. Here you go. And I was like, son of a bitch, this is great. So I was happy. I didn't have to spend $300 on golf clubs. I'm good. I didn't have to buy a bag. I was happy. And now what?
You can focus on your outfits.
Now I can just focus on my dress whip. But the thing is, I'm trying to not be in the gym as much as I always am. I'm trying to look for a hobby. And I do like hitting the ball on Sunday, going back barbecuing, or just having a beer or go to happy hour. So I mean that's where it's at, guys. Nothing else is gonna come of it except just a good time.
Plus you're taking up gaming now.
Yeah, plus I'm taking up gaming.
Yeah, that's interesting. Are you putting that on Twitch?
Yeah, that'll be on Twitch.
Right, I gotta check that out.
There it is.
Now, Vito,
gaming control now.
Was there something else you wanted to talk about, or not necessarily? I'm just going to give you 3 call letters. CNN.
There was the article from CNN today on the Ashley Mazzaro case. I've never been I know WWE has to do their due diligence to sway the public.
Mm-hmm.
And I know they took a backlash. But when the reporter Amanda from CNN ended it with, donate your brain to the Legacy Foundation, you are so misinformed and you were so rooked and hooked and shrewded. Let me tell you something, lady. I've done more for CTE in 4 years than Christopher Nowinski has done in the last decade. And I've gotten more brains analyzed than he has in wrestling. And I'm nobody except somebody who's the lead. I'm the lead case. I'm one of the main guys who's been fighting for the wrestlers' rights. And watching wrestlers on there talk because you're being paid and talk like, hey, I'm Mick Foley and this is what it's about. Yeah, go fuck yourself. Just like
that article.
Hold on, let me finish. Just like you did for Ashley Mazzaro when you said, yeah, guys, donate $5,000 and I'll watch anything with you. Go fuck yourself again for your fake, fucking, phony, fucking bullshit that you try to possess on it like you give a shit. The only way you give a shit, Mick Foley, is if somebody's fucking paying you so you could swing on somebody's dick, take a bump, get a pop from the crowd, collect a paycheck, and go to fuck home. You make me sick. Go fuck yourself. Go ahead. Now you can go.
No, when I read that article and you sent it to me, I noticed they glossed over Daniel Bryan. Do you know after WrestleMania, he didn't work for over 4 weeks? Nobody knows what that injury was. And I didn't see that article once reference Alexa Bliss, who has been in and out of action multiple times with supposed concussions. And there's other people too. Funny that they painted the picture like, oh, it's getting great in the WWE. They really care about all the performers, but they mentioned none of the potential concussions from the past year. Crazy.
Right. And then, to boot, they say that they always take care of their wrestlers. Really? They didn't inform any of the wrestlers, and it wasn't until 2008 that they started something. That was after Chris Benoit got diagnosed with CTE, and then he killed his wife and family. So what happened to everybody else from before that time who's been wrestling for the WWE? Guys, if you have something going on, get yourself checked out. Call Konstantin Kairos. Maybe he can enlighten you on some things. And when they talk about Ashley's brain being donated and doing all that stuff, Ashley had paperwork signed with Konstantin Kairos for the concussion lawsuit to donate her brain to Dr. Amalu. Yes, Dr. Amalu, not Christopher fuck Nowinski, not that piece of shit, not that fucking dirtbag. You're talking Chris Nowinski, who has done nothing for the wrestlers except collect donations, collect $3,000 a week out of the donations for a salary to sit there and guess who we have on the board? Members of the WWE. Talk about cover-up conspiracy and bullshit. Lady Miss Amanda from CNN, get your facts straight before you post shit.
CNN, fake news, and of course, writing an article that kind of tried to make WWE look innocent. CNN, WWE, imagine that article reading like that, Vito.
I'm sorry, people. I know you don't like to hear this, but when I see fake people trying to stick their head in and trying to say they help a cause, you're hurting the cause. If you really wanted to do something, you do something proficient, not just sit there on a dais and spew bullshit or collect donations and act like you're doing something. Because if you do ask the Legacy Foundation, how many wrestler brains have you analyzed in the past 12 to 15 years, since 2006, 11 years, no, 13 years, how many wrestler brains has Christopher Nowinski analyzed and sought out? The answer is 0. Nothing.
Yep.
How many has Vito gotten? How many has Vito LaGrasso gotten? I can't dispose that, believe me. It's more than one, and I did it on my own.
Yep. Yeah. And it's a thing. It's the power play by, the evil empire.
It's sad, man. It's sad. Did we have any other wrestling news? How about the aftermath of the AEW? What are you picking up from that?
Well, we have the interesting Vince Russo conspiracy that it's, a work like ECW and WWE, which is funny. I appreciate stuff like that. But the wrestling marks, It's like all of a sudden, Vito, they haven't even been around for a minute. TV's not even till October, and it's the end all be all of wrestling. It's people are loving wrestling again, and they can't wait. I mean, come on, seriously. Nothing against AEW. I enjoyed a lot of the things from Double or Nothing, but let's be honest, Vito. Whatever they did that was so special, changing the world last weekend, I've seen it from all the wrestling promotions like New Japan, Ring Up. They're all doing the same thing, but what's the flavor of the month now? It's AEW. So the fans, the marks, oh, let's go. Like, let them establish themselves first. You know what I mean? You can be a fan, but like.
I got a question for you.
Go ahead.
And this goes out to everybody out there on Twitch and everything, and I want you to follow the bouncing ball. Their first house show loop. They're going to do 3 nights. Do they go to a 10,000-seat arena or do they go to a 3,000-seat arena? Do they sell out every single night? How do they make out? Are they turning people away? Are they going to be short houses? Are they going to draw 500 people like WWE? How do you think they're going to do on a Friday, Saturday, Sunday, or a Thursday, Friday, Saturday?
Exactly. And right now, I don't know. Right now, they're burning their fans out, traveling to Vegas, traveling to Chicago for a second time, doing the StarCast. All that costs money. And if they want to sustain, as much as people crap on WWE, doing it from town to town, week in and week out, where are they going to do their TVs, Vito? I mean, Impact had to find the studio down in Orlando. Are they going to do how Raw and SmackDown do with arenas? Twice, once a week. I'm sure they're probably going to be, when they do TV, they're probably going to record multiple weeks, I'm sure, but still, it remains to be seen, Vito. I can't even answer that because I got to see it first. And those marks only have so much money during any given calendar year,
Why couldn't you go to the old arenas in Atlanta, Georgia, where you used to do all the TBS and TNT's tapings?
There you go. I mean, and maybe they got those hookups. Maybe there's connections.
With TNT, I would go back to Atlanta.
Yep.
And bring back the old WCW fans.
Because they probably own those studios, I would imagine, right?
I would think so. I would think you'd have to.
But we got to see it. I'm curious how the rating's going to be. Of course they're choosing Tuesday nights. SmackDown's conveniently going to Friday on Fox, so they're not going to be up against anything. 205 Live? No, maybe not, because that's probably going to go with SmackDown to Fridays.
Guys, I think they're gonna do 3,000-seat arenas if they're smart. I don't know if they're gonna sell out every night, but if these are the ECW cult followers like there were, they will have a packed house. Are they going to be able to generate enough money to cover payroll? No. Are they going to have to rely on TV revenue to pay their payroll? Yes. So their TV has to be good. And these guys have got to get out and practice and be at house shows. So it's got to be good, and it's got to be small houses and captive.
What do you think of that pay-per-view buy rate? I think it came in just under 100,000. It was like 98,000.
98,000 buys. That's what they had.
I think so. For some reason too, and I don't know, because I heard 200,000, but I don't know. It was weird because it wasn't all traditional pay-per-view. Because
anybody on Twitch know how many buys? What were the buy rates for AEW?
Because some of them were from streaming services too. It was just weird. It wasn't your traditional, like back in the day type numbers for buy rates. I heard 200,000. I heard 98,000 most recently. So I don't know what the true number was.
Say hello to the Human Tornado. He's in the chat right now.
Human Tornado, hello.
Hello, Craig. How are you? Old friend.
But we'll see, Vito, right? It's more, and again, I get hyped over. Let's see how it all plays out, and then we'll talk about it. Fans got to put everything over before anything's proven.
No, you're right. What is the score of the Raptors game?
It is. Drum roll, please. We'll see how fast my app loads up. Keep talking. It's still loading here.
Jeez, you got that slow internet in Cleveland.
No, it's the app called The Score. It's an app called The Score, and it's been buggy lately. So
Okay.
I'll go to ESPN. I'm sure it's a third quarter here, Vito.
I'm sure.
And
You
we
pay your
got-
electric bill. Is your internet out? What's going on?
No, because I'm using my phone, man.
Using his phone, he's got multiple.
Ooh, Warriors up. It's almost the end of the third quarter. Warriors up 11, so they've turned the tables this game.
All right.
Oh, yeah.
All right, guys. We are going to be calling it tonight. We had another great action-packed Twitch, getting color. I hope, and we were on for Twitch for an hour today, golfing.
About 45 minutes golfing. There was, one injury.
One injury. I didn't catch any seagulls. That's next week.
Numerous beers were drunk.
Yeah.
Well, everyone knows they can see this on demand when Noel puts it on Twitch again the next day, and it'll be on Anchor and all the podcast stuff, audio.
Yeah.
People are just waiting for their commute to listen to Big Vito and I.
Yeah, I hear Monday's like big. Every time I go in to check the numbers on Monday, it's like, geez, everybody listen to you guys on the way home or on the way to work. It blows up on Monday.
All right, guys. That's so good. All right, Mr. Virtue, what do you got for plugs this week? We need plugs.
Hey, Vito, everybody can follow me on Twitter. Try to troll me on Twitter at @NoDQ_Virtue. And I also got a Facebook page, which is nodq.com/virtue. Find me at either one of those places, Vito.
All right. And Noel, can you give us the plugs, including the golf course?
Yes, Vito golfs at the exclusive Stonegate Golf Club in beautiful Kissimmee, Florida. No, I'll give you the real plugs. I'm just kidding. Anchor.fm/The Big Vito Brand is where you can check out our audio podcast, listen to us on the way to work, listen to us on the way home. If you're at Twitch TV/The Big Vito Brand, make sure to click that beautiful subscribe button. Follow us, get notifications when we're live. We'll be golfing, we'll be gaming, we'll be podcasting. I also want to say a special shout out. I just found out that a longtime ringside photographer from Philly, Lyle Williams, passed away today, and I want to give a special shout out to his family. He was the best son in the world, took care of his mother, took care of all the boys, so rest in peace, Lyle. We'll never forget you. And that's about it for me today.
All right, you have it right here, live, baby, live. The Big Vito Brand signing off. We're going to go catch the rest of the Raptors game, and we'll see you next week. Same bat time, same bat channel. All right.